It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shamans worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464. Welcome back, everyone. Rick Hayes is my special guest, and Rick is a media favorite, appearing on television, film, radio, and print media, including appearances on the Travel Channel, Sci-Fi Network, Destination America, Chiller Channel, Fox Television, CBS Radio, and Sirius Radio. Rick is featured in the docu-film The Possessed, which was produced and distributed by NBC Universal Spooked Productions, and Soul Catcher, once again by NBC Universal Spooked Productions, on the Sci-Fi Television Network. Rick also appears on the Travel Channel's Most Terrifying Places in America and Children of the Grave 2. Once again, Rick's website is www.LifesGift.com. First of all, Rick, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us. It's always a great pleasure having you here over all these many years. It's been great to know you and great to see how you're helping people, and what you do is very important.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to another 20 years of returning to the X Zone.
Our door is always open to you, my friend.
Thank you.
You also do coaching, right?
Yeah, I have. I share in my own experience that I really feel that when a door of opportunity opens in your life, it's not for you to stand there and ask why the door opened. It's for you to walk through. It's guiding you in your life, and that's exactly what happened to me. I was getting signs, what I call signs. I was from consultations, individuals in consultation sharing with me, Rick, you brought so much comfort about the next part of life and our loved ones being okay and giving us validations for that. But what about life here? how can you help? What can I do about my marriage? What can I do about my career? What can I find in my purpose path in life? And with that being said, I started recognizing I needed to learn about life coaching. So about 7 years ago, I took it upon myself to learn from the top life coaches in their field. And I developed my own program. And so for the last 4 years now, 3-4 years, I have been doing also consultations for life coaching. And I have seen it's just as inspiring for me whenever I share validations from the next part of life and giving those to their loved ones. It's been such an inspiration for me, Rob, to see how people are changing their lives and having more confidence with themselves and changing their careers and getting better marriages. And it is not that I'm giving them the tools. Well, I am giving them the tools to do so, but it is them that is doing it. And all it takes is just a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of confidence, and that's what life coaching is all about. And it's been a great inspiration and another part of my life that I feel very, very proud of, actually. So I really am.
Well, congratulations on all you do, Rick. I have a question for you. You were talking before about, doing investigations, and I mentioned a number of the shows that you're on. Is it hard for you to release, or how do you get someone to be released who is trapped in spirit?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm supposed to be doing some more filming for another television show in a couple weeks, but I can't go into any more details. So, yeah. But I've always shared this. I've shared it with those those on television today are good friends of mine, and I've shared this with them. They're not trapped. We have a tendency to feel like we go to a location that these individuals are there and they're there because they're stuck there. Personally, I don't feel like they are. Like I've shared with a good friend of mine on television, I said, you've shown on the show that this you saw the shadow walk through the walls, but then later in your show you said they're trapped here. How can they be trapped if they can walk through walls?
Exactly.
They have made a choice to be there, and I really feel like they're there, just like I shared with the prison with those inmates. They're not trapped there. They want me to know about their experience there. Who better to share with you about locations than those who have experienced there and have memories there? And so I feel like they choose to be there to help to show us all about the location. They're not trapped.
When you were talking about Elvis before, when you saw Elvis in a full-body apparition on his couch, when he looked at you, did he realize that you could see him?
Well, that was, first of all, he was not wearing blue suede shoes.
Okay, well, that was my next question.
No, actually, he didn't even look at me. I actually was watching individuals go by. He didn't look over at me. Now, would he know that I could recognize him? I feel like if I would have acknowledged him and said something to him through what I call the energy of thought, he would have recognized that. But there was several individuals going through it. He was more, to me, at that experience, it was more that he was just very, very pleased and very, very proud of how many individuals looked up to him and cared about him and cared enough to go through his home and learn about him. He was very thrilled about that. I can feel that energy. But no, he didn't look over at me and say, "Hi, Rick, I know you can see me," or anything like that. So,
he was such a great loss to so many. When it comes to the loss of someone that you love and someone who is dear to you, should we grieve for those loved ones that are no longer here? Do you think grieving is okay?
I do really feel it's okay. I feel like it's okay. I wrote an article once. It's called "Okay to Cry." When we shed tears, we're shedding tears for hurt. We're shedding tears of pain, and we're sharing tears of love. And so, grieving is a process for us to go through. To experience in this life, to get an understanding of how much love we had for that individual, or how much we will miss that individual. And that type of emotion, we don't have those type of emotions in the next part of life. Grieving is a process, and grieving is a strengthening process. So I absolutely feel, I share in my consultation, no individual has the same amount of grieving time. You take each day as you feel like you need. It could be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be 10 years, but you take it as needed. But grieving is now what you don't want to do, though, and those are your loved ones in the next part of life don't want you to do. They don't want you to stop your life. They don't want you to give up on your life. They want you to continue your life. But again, it's okay to have grief and feel that grief.
What is your advice, or how can we best prepare those who, or this is a hard question, and I'm trying to ask it delicately. If we know somebody in our family is on that road to the transformation or to the new book or put on his wings, how would be the best way, in your opinion, having dealt with this over 20 years, what is the best way for family and friends to prepare not only the person, but themselves for this transformation? Well, before I answer that question, I want to add this. There's two things I share. If you're going to a psyche meeting, there's two things that I'm going to recommend. If a psyche meeting tells you that they telling you you only have so much time to live, or if someone in your family or someone has only so much time to live, run as fast as you can, because we are not to do that. The second thing is, if a psyche meeting tells you they're 100% accurate, run as fast as you can, because we are not 100% accurate, because you have the ability to change direction, change things. So what is best? Embrace one another. That is a very simple statement to say. Really embrace one another. Really embrace the time with one another. Find that quality of your love for one another, and find that and embrace that. And as time goes with each day, you're going to find that after the transition, you're going to have the comfort of knowing that you spent time with that individual. I hear that a lot, Rob, where a lot of individuals says, I wish I would have spent more time with them, or I wish I would have given them more of my time. What you can do is embrace that moment with the individuals and with each other. And we said this back with the COVID thing. I think it's been a benefit that we have been restricted and confined in our homes, because it's brought families together and spend time together. One quick question before you and I have to say so long for this year. Do prayers help? Do prayers actually get to the people on the other side?
I do feel that way. I grew up in church. It was called praying to our Creator, praying for guidance. Others have suggested or defined it as putting it out there in the universe. Right. I really feel that our thoughts are of energy, and our energy is heard, and I feel like our loved ones can hear us, and they're with us, and they hear when you want to say I love you. I always tell everyone, you don't need to come to me and ask me to tell them that, because you tell them, they hear you. And so prayers and putting out in the universe does manifest. It absolutely does.
Hey, Rick, that time has come when you and I must say so long for this year. Do me a favor. Let our listeners know how they can find out more about you. Give them your website and contact information.
Okay, well, the website's LifesGift.com, and just go to that. And then I'm all over social media. You just look up Rick Hayes on Facebook, Twitter, and all, and you just look up Rick Hayes, and you'll find me there as well.
Rick, take care of yourself. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet back here in the X Zone.
Thank you so much.
Take care, my friend. All right, X Zone Nation. Once again, Rick Hayes has been our guest this hour. www.lifesgift.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Niagara, Ontario, Canada. Once again, the leading story tonight here in the X Zone. Jen Harzan, head of the Mutual UFO Network, was arrested July 3rd and is accused of soliciting sexual activity from a detective he believed was a 13-year-old girl. Tomorrow night, Kevin Randall and I discuss this news story that many of us believe will be the downfall of MUFON. I'll be back. Don't go away.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com. The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
Path Home Shamanic Art School has just launched a new online series of classes, Galactic Shamanism, Art of the Ancients, Key to Tomorrow. In these classes, composed and taught by Path Home founder and director Gwilda Wiyaka, you'll learn practical shamanic skills to support your daily life, such as how to build a medicine wheel to access the power of the earth, perform a shamanic journey, create sacred space in which to live and work, empower your life with totem animals, elementals, and fairy folk, and learn the art of accurately reading signs and omens. These tried and true skills are the key to living a powerful, productive life. Visit us at findyourpathhome.com to see the ever-growing collection of classes and leading-edge information to support you during these times of uncertainty and transition. All can be found at findyourpathhome.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Rick Hayes is my special guest this hour, www.lifesgift.com. Rick, I understand that you do not use the word death or dead when describing our going into the next life. Is there a specific reason?
Yes, there is. But before I answer that, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you still have your famous mustache?
I sure do. In fact, it's grown into a full beard.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I've been working on one, and it's funny because I thought, do I want a Rob McConnell mustache? No, there's no way I could have Rob McConnell. Only Rob McConnell can wear that mustache. So I actually grew a certain type, and now it's like I can't shave it now because everybody expects me to have it. So, and we've got it on some promos, so I can't shave it no longer. So, but I was going to ask you if you still have the famous mustache.
Yeah, I do. Except when. I guess I started growing the beard just at the time when the first news about COVID struck and everything was being shut down. We went into a lockdown here in Ontario. In fact, the Niagara part of Ontario is still in what they consider stage 2 when it comes. And we're right across the border from Buffalo and Niagara Falls, New York, and the borders are closed up here. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Well, to
very
answer
strange.
your question,
Yeah.
I choose not to utilize the word death or dead, because if you look at the definition of those two words, it defines it as an end,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't end in life. We have a life here
Yeah.
in the physical body that we experience and grow and learn, and then once we complete this part of life, we continue on into the next part of life. We leave the physical body, transit into the body of spirit, and life is continual. So I just I let everyone know at the beginning of a consultation that I simply use the word transcend, because that's what we're doing. We're transcending from one part of life into the next part of life.
You know, I've used the analogy that life is, there's two analogies that I use. You know, having been doing the show for 30 years and talking to people like yourself, I've been able to kind of formulate my own interpretation. That one of them is that just imagine yourself in front of a gigantic bookcase, and at the very beginning is the first book. Book 1, Volume 1. Well, that's where we are now, and when this life finishes, we go to Book 1, Volume 2. And then the next, Book 1, Volume 3. Or I use the analogy of the caterpillar. The caterpillar, you know, lives a certain amount of time, and then it realizes when it's time to do its cocoon. And the caterpillar doesn't die, it changes. And when it comes out, it's a butterfly. Do any of these two examples work with you, Rick?
Absolutely. In fact, I wrote them down. I'm going to borrow them.
Oh, go right ahead, my friend.
No, and that's great analogies. Especially the caterpillar, you know, it transforms, it transcends. Yeah. It knows when it's completing its time as a caterpillar, and it transforms or transcends into the next part of life as a beautiful butterfly, which is the next part of that caterpillar's life. So it's the same way for us. I've had individuals ask me, have I ever been afraid of, quote, dying? It's like, no, because I'm not. I'm just transiting to my next. I'm completing Book 1, Volume 1, getting ready to go into Book 1, Volume 2. See how that works? I like that. I'm going to use that.
Please do, Rick. Please do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, my friend.
You know, I've had the opportunity of speaking to a number of people who have had legitimate near-death experiences. And whenever I've talked to them and asked them about their experience, there are so many similarities. And one thing that they all say, they didn't want to come back. They were forced back. And that now, no matter what religion they are or what philosophical beliefs have been ingrained in them throughout society or throughout their childhood, they do not fear death, and they look forward to going back.
Yeah, I can not only agree with that, but I've actually experienced that personally. In 1981, I was in the hospital for 31 days, and they didn't think I was going to make it. And there's only two experiences I recall because I was unconscious most of that time. But there was one experience where an angel actually came to visit with me, and I was ready to go. I don't know of anyone else that's ever argued with an angel, but I was arguing with this angel. I call it a celestial being. And it was sharing with me, that it wasn't time for me to go. And I kept saying, why not? I'm ready to go. And it kept saying I had more to do. And at that time, I wasn't in this. I wasn't sharing my abilities. I didn't know what it meant, what this celestial being meant, but I do now. But I had that same experience where, and for me as well, I feel like when my time is completed here, I will be more than ready to go, because I was ready back in 1981, and it was telling me that it was not time. So I've had the same experience in that.
Rick, how do you deal with skepticism?
Well, first of all, I always like to say this. It's okay to be skeptical. It's the definition of saying you're still learning to understand, and that's what we do here. We learn, and so it's okay to be skeptical. I feel like if we didn't have skepticism, we wouldn't have evolved as much as we have on this earth. Being skeptical is a way of questioning and disagreeing in a good way. So it's okay to be skeptical. For me, I just share with those that one of the things we're given here, Rob, upon birth is a gift of choice. We can choose how we live, how we believe, what we not want to believe. And so if you believe one way different than me, if you don't believe in what I do, it's okay. Because one day we will all really know and we will understand. So being skeptical is okay for me. I have no problem with it.
I understand that you've been to many locations over the past 20 years of your career, Rick, connecting with those in spirit. Can you share a couple of those experiences with us?
Yeah, I have. I usually share. If you've seen a location on television on these shows, I've been there. I did not know 20 years ago I'd be at all the. I did not know 20 years ago I'd be in abandoned hospitals and abandoned prisons and my family likes to tease me a little bit because they always say, well, how many prisons you going to be in this year? So and I was like, well, it's they're abandoned. Okay, I'm not going for any other reason. So, but speaking of prisons, I do recall one. There's one in West Virginia that is known, and it actually closed in 1995, and because of inhumane conditions to the inmates. But the first time the last time I was there, I was invited as a speaker in an investigation, and myself and another person was walking down the main corridor there was 4 levels of jail cells, and all of a sudden I had something hit me in the top of the head. And I turned the flashlight down on the floor and looked, and it was a small pebble. And I looked up on about the 3rd level, and there was these 3 inmates in spirits up there just laughing. And they showed me their full-body apparitions and showed me that they were inmates there at one time. And so that was a recent experience I had where they weren't trying to hurt me. They were just being mischievous, and they wanted me to recognize them as they had spent time there. So that was one experience. I've had experience. I've never had anything physically to me because I choose not to, but I've had many other experiences where I've been in locations where, here's a good one. We just talked about this yesterday. This is before I actually shared my abilities with everyone, but I was in a place called Memphis, Tennessee, and there was a place called Graceland down there.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
You kind of understand. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So I thank you very much. That's right. So, but I was actually on a tour there, and as a young adult, and I recall going down into this one area, and it was they call it the Jungle Room, and I remember coming down and coming around. There was this U-shaped sofa there, and I looked over there, and there was Elvis Presley himself just sitting there in full body apparition, just sitting on that couch, and he had his arms up on the top of the couch, on the couch arms, and he was just watching people going by, and I was like shook a little bit. I was all shook up, Rob, you get that? And so I was like, that's Elvis out there. But I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't say anything to anyone, but I thought, that's Elvis. Now, and people have asked me if I had celebrities come to visit with me, and my answer to that is, why would they come to visit with me if they didn't know me here? So I'm not one of those psychic mediums that say, oh, I'm going to channel Prince. I'm not. If he didn't know me, why would he come to me? Unless I'm with his family or if I'm in his location. Like with Elvis Presley, I was at Graceland. That's it. That was his place. That was the place he enjoyed being at, and so that's why he was there. He was enjoying all the tourists coming through his home. So that was just a couple of experiences I've had in my life, and one day it'll be in a book.
A book that I will not hesitate to put on our bookshelf here, my friend.
I will definitely get you a copy.
Thank you, sir. Rick, stand by. You and I have to take our final break. In X Zone Nation, Rick Hayes is our very special guest this hour. If you'd like to visit Rick's website for more information, or maybe you'd like to contact Rick for his wisdom, his intuitiveness, his mediumship, whatever, you can't go wrong. www.lifesgift.com. And Rick and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, X Zone Nation, tomorrow night, Kevin Randall and I will be discussing the major breaking news that was released about 3 hours ago now. Jan Harzan, head of the Mutual UFO Network, was arrested on July 13th and is accused of soliciting sexual activity from a detective he believed was a 13-year-old girl. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining me from any of the networks that the X Zone is broadcast on, our lead story from our newsroom this evening is head of major UFO organization arrested on child solicitation charges. Jen Harzan, head of the Mutual UFO Network, was arrested July 3rd and is accused of soliciting sexual activity from a detective he believed it was a 13-year-old girl. Tomorrow night here on the X Zone, Kevin Randall joins me for a 1-hour special on this, the arrest of Jan Harzan, and what does this mean when it comes to MUFON? Will the other allegations that have been kind of put under the carpet over the last couple of years be brought back? And could this be the end of the Mutual UFO Network? That's tomorrow night here on the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, and Kevin Randall, the host of A Different Perspective here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Rick Hayes is our special guest, www.lifesgift.com. And Rick, you and I were talking about when you were... was this the first time that you actually realized that you had this gift when, your father was talking about somebody and there was somebody present that they apparently could not see?
No, it wasn't because but my memory can only take me back so far. So that's right. The first experience. But I do also recall I was one of those kids, Rob, that, the mom would tell a friend that, Ricky's in there playing with his imaginary friends, and I literally wanted to run out my bedroom door and say, "They're not imaginary,
Right.
Mom. They're here." But I recognize those throughout my life, and I was sharing before we went on break what got me in the public eye and become public with these was a friend basically sharing with me that when I shared with her some messages I was receiving, that I was being selfish. That I was given something I could be sharing with others and helping others, and I was keeping it to myself. And I never looked at it that way before. And I'm very, very thankful that for the last 20 years I've literally have met thousands and thousands all over the world now that has brought that I feel has found comfort in some way.
You were talking about children with imaginary friends. Don't all children have imaginary friends? And is it how the parents react that close the door to the other side?
It can. I do feel that a lot of times in little children, they have not yet been told by parents and environment and society that it's just imagination, it's a coincidence, and they accept the abilities that they were given, and they're just there. But as they're growing older, they begin blocking those abilities. I really feel that. Now, kids do have vivid imaginations, but there's been many times I know of that, me personally as a child, that they weren't imaginary. What the parents have, what I suggest to the parents, if they have a little child and it's experiencing someone there that they can't see, is if this first of all, get down to their level, don't stand above them, get down to their level and let them talk to you. And just listen, and the most important thing is to maintain that child's confidence, because confidence is going to be very, very important as they grow older.
The invisible friends or the special friends that children have. A lot of parents who do not dissuade or discourage their children from an interaction with their special friends believe that these special friends are angels. And in this case, Rick, is there a difference between an angel and a spirit or a guide?
Well, it is for me. I feel a spirit, or I call them loved ones in the next part of life, in the life continual. They have experienced a physical body. They have been a soul that's been placed in a physical body and learned and experienced and grew in life in the physical body. I feel angels have not been in a physical body. There is a difference. I see them differently as well, and we've talked about this in the past, but the most common way I see loved ones in spirit is an elongated light, very bright and colorful in the center. I see them as shadows and what we call full body apparitions as well, but that's the most normal. For me, for some reason, when I see an angel, it becomes like an orb.
Right.
It begins manifesting out. And then it begins taking into a form, and I can see where a lot of painters from the past have created wings on an angel, because it literally looks like a wing type of apparition around them. So, do they have wings? I don't know. I feel like it's more of a artistic view of saying they're not from this earth.
Right.
They're from another dimension or another entity. So, but there is a difference between them, and I feel like the main difference is that in one of my books I call angels God's upper management, because they're here to help us, and they're here and they're also helping our loved ones in the next part of life.
Boy, they must be really busy these days.
Yeah. I was getting ready to reflect your thoughts, because I thought, boy, they've been busy the last few months.
Rick, can you explain to us what you mean as, or how you define connecting with those in the spirit life?
Yeah, Rob, it's been like this for 20 years. I'm just me. I always share with everyone. I'm just Rick Hayes. So I don't use all the lingo that you find in this industry, and I just felt more comfortable with what I do is called connecting or visiting with those in the next part of life, those in spirit, because that's what we're doing. A connection is a bond or a communication between one person and another individual. So when I connect, I'm actually in this industry they call them readings or getting messages from spirit to give to you. I call it connecting because that's what I'm doing. I'm connecting with them to connect with you.
Hypothetical question for you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
I struggled with that through my life because
Okay.
I just couldn't understand why our Creator would take our created soul and keep overhauling the engine, basically, So, but then as I got older and began listening, it made a lot of sense to me because life is learning.
Yes.
And we're learning in this life, in this environment, in this body right now, in these experiences. But if we choose to have a different life and a different body and a different experience, that would be learning a different type of environment in a different type of body. So you're continuing learning. I really feel even if we complete this part of life and we go into the next part of life, we're still learning. And I feel like we do have the choice to return in a different body and for our soul and our spirit to return in a different body and to learn. And so that's what we're doing.
What happens, Rick, if somebody comes to you and they'd like you to connect with, let's say, Aunt Martha? And unbeknownst to you, Aunt Martha has been reincarnated. What happens at that point?
Well, that's why I like being on your show. You got some great questions. You always have the great questions, Rob. Well, first of all, your Aunt Martha will be in spirit with you as Aunt Martha because that is a part of this life, and she was a part of your life, and that was a part of her life. So
Okay.
She's going to be here as Aunt Martha. Now, will she talk about her past life? This is really interesting and intriguing because I've never had a loved one in spirit share with me about another life. It's almost like they're here to talk, like I'm here as Rick Hayes talking to Rob McConnell tonight.
Right.
Have I had past lives? I have, but I will not. First of all, I will not share those with you because as Rick Hayes,
Sure.
I'm not to remember the past lives. We have little triggers, I feel, that shows us there's something that we have done before or a part of the past life that we have little triggers that shows us these signs. If we knew every detail from the past life, how would we learn from this life? So it's a unique experience for this. So Aunt Martha would be here as Aunt Martha for that individual. And by the way, I want to add this to this. For me, you don't come to me and say, I want to talk to so-and-so, or I want you to get in touch with so-and-so. I feel like our loved ones are around us. They know why they're going to give us messages. So I usually start off by telling the individuals, you let them visit with us, and then I start sharing with you who's here. So that's what usually happens in my office.
You see, Rick, that makes sense to me. That makes more sense than the people that I've had on the show before say, well, they project into the afterlife, the afterworld, and seek out the spirit. And I've always said to myself, well, what happens if they don't want to talk to you?
Yeah.
Rick, you and
Absolutely.
I have to take our break at the bottom of the hour for the news. Great talking to you, and always a very interesting hour when we have you with us. Exonation, Rick Hayes is my special guest. His website is www.lifesgift.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada, which is part of the Greater Niagara area. Now, if you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV on all social media sites, as I said. Have to forgive me, I'm reading the news feeds at the same time. And if you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. Rick Hayes and I return on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone. Whatever you do, do not go away. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Kevin Randall and I will be doing an hour show on the arrest of Jan Harzan, who is the former director, I guess he's former by now, of the Mutual UFO Network.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
What happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
The ancients knew what we have forgotten. In order to be empowered by nature, one must be aligned with the way life works. We've become increasingly disconnected from the earth and her cycles, to our extreme detriment. The medicine wheel ceremony is an ancient rite practiced by shamans worldwide to recalibrate their people with the powers of the universe. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, at the Galactic Shamanism Retreat this spring equinox, March 18th through the 22nd, in the beautiful Colorado Mountains. During this life-changing 3-day medicine wheel training, you'll learn to build and maintain your own cross-cultural shamanic medicine wheel to promote manifestation, health, and personal power. Empower yourself with the wisdom of the ancients. Contact Touch In at findyourpathhome.com or call 303-775-3431.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to another edition of the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Niagara, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to find out more information about the X Zone Broadcast Network, you can always visit us on our website at www.xzbn.net, where you can find all the scheduling for the great programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on Facebook, X Zone Radio TV. And if you'd like to send me your emails, whether they're good, bad, or sometimes ugly, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is going to be Rick Hayes, and Rick is a good friend of the X Zone. He is a psychic medium and life coach. But before we get to Rick, there is some breaking news from our newsroom. This was sent in to us today, July 14th at 5:17 p.m., which is just under 3 hours ago. Head of major UFO organization arrested on child solicitation charges. And This is today's Dateline. Jan Harzan, head of the MUFON UFO Network, was arrested July 3rd and is accused of soliciting sexual activity from a detective he believed was a 13-year-old girl. The executive director of MUFON UFO Network, one of the oldest UFO research organizations in the United States, has been arrested on charges of soliciting a minor for the purpose of engaging in sexual activity, according to the police. Jan Harzan, who has headed MUFON since 2013, is accused of soliciting sexual activity from a detective he believed was a 13-year-old girl, and this is according to a release from the Huntington Beach, California Police Department. In recent years, UFO research world has been flooded with Pizzagate allegations, falsely linking scientific and government elites to occult sexual abuse of children, and accusing the government of releasing UFO videos to cover up pedophile rings. Harzan's arrest is almost certain to reignite those controversies. Court records show that Harzan was arrested on charges of communicating with a minor with the intent to engage in lewd act, as well as arranging a meeting to engage with a lewd act with a minor in public. Harzan, MUFON, and the Huntington Police Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. On July 3rd, detectives contacted a male by the name of John Harzan after Harzan solicited sexual activity from a detective he believed was a 13-year-old girl, the Huntington Police wrote on their Facebook page. The suspect solicited the minor to meet for the purpose of engaging in sexual activity, and when the suspect agreed to meet the supposed minor, detectives were there to take him away into custody. Harzan was arrested for multiple felonies and transported to Huntington Beach Jail, and was specifically targeting minor females online, and this is according to the police department. Wow. Jan Harzan arrested. What is going on? The UFO community is in such a turmoil. You've got other members of MUFON who are saying and posting racist comments. Going back to 1979, John Ventry, a director with MUFON, was in trouble for his postings on his Facebook page, which were rather racist. And then Ken Pfeiffer, the MUFON director of Rhode Island, has also been in the spotlight for racist comments that he put on his Facebook page. In the next hours and days, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Mutual UFO Network. I do know for a fact that this information came from an insider, that MUFON had a Zoom meeting hours ago to discuss I guess to do some damage control, because as it is now, MUFON has zero credibility and they are in a lot of hot water. All right, my guest this hour, as I said, is Rick Hayes. Rick is a psychic medium, and we've had the pleasure of having Rick on the show many times. In fact, he's a perennial here. I should say an annual. He comes here at least once a year, whether he likes to or not. No, I guess he must like to, because he does accept the invitation. And he's the founder of LifesGift, an association that supports his consultation and speaking engagement services. As a psychic medium and life consultant with unique abilities that have been recognized worldwide, as well as here on the X Zone, Rick consults on a daily basis with those that have questions on life and life continual. Joining me now is Rick Hayes. And Rick, welcome back to the X Zone. Your year is up, my friend.
Hello, Rob, and it's an honor to be back, and it's even more of an honor to be an annual.
Yeah. Rick, let me ask you, how has this COVID-19 pandemic affected you and the people that you help on a daily basis?
Well, what we've seen is it hasn't really affected me as far as my schedule, other than usually starting in March, I'm usually on the road, and it's really everything's been shifted either toward the end of the year or first of next year, and so for me personally, the only thing that's really affected me is just that it's grounded me to be home more. And as far as what I've seen, as far as individuals wanting appointments for a consultation and for some comfort, we've actually seen a little bit of growth in that this year, in the last few months especially. I shared with someone a few weeks ago. They asked me about what I thought about this COVID and everything else that's going on in this world right now, and my feelings is, Rob, it's just a good flushing out. I feel like we've gotten to a hurry up and wait society. I feel like our impatience is outrageous. I feel like the value of home itself has pretty well gone away, and everyone is so focused on other things, and the prejudice is I feel like it's increased. So I feel like, when you get piled in, it's time for a good flushing out. And so I think that's what's going on right now. I feel what we're going to see from this is that we're going to get a better understanding of the value of home. We're also getting a better understanding of what communication, how important communication is, and understanding each other's feelings. And spiritually, I really feel like, and I've already been seeing it in the last few months, we're going to see a tremendous growth in the spiritual end, not the religious end, but the spiritual end of things. So, and you know me, Rob, I always speak, teach, and preach. You get up, you think and act and believe positive. You're going to receive positive in your day. So I've been in locations. I was just in Tampa, Florida last week. I was in a safe environment and everything was safe, but you could see individuals, just the energy of individuals. They're getting tired, but they're also ready for a change. And I really feel like the outcome of all this is going to be a positive. I really do.
Rick, for those listeners who haven't had the opportunity of hearing you before on the show, how did you get involved in the great work that you're doing? When did you recognize your abilities? And when did you actually get started in the industry?
Well, believe it or not, Rob, this is my 20th year out in the industry. And I shared with you before we went on air, the only changes me is I've gotten older, So I know I was born with these abilities. I truly feel that we're all given gifts, talents, and skills when we're born, and it's to apply them in our life. But for me, I recognized them early in my life. But it was about 22 years ago. I was beginning sharing with someone about my abilities, and for the last 20 years now, this has been my path, my purpose. It's been a phenomenal 20 years. I'm looking forward to the next 20. But for me, it's just been a part of my life. It's been through all my life. So, and I recognized them early in my life.
What was your first instance? What was the instant? What was it that made you understand that you had the gifts that you now have and that you've been sharing with the world for the last 22 years?
Well, I can go back to individuals ask me, they say, when did you recognize your abilities? And as I shared earlier, I was born with them. But I can remember an experience when I was around 5 years old, maybe 6, between 5 and 7, I know that, where I was in a home with my parents, and my dad was talking to a friend, and they were talking about a friend of theirs who had recently transcended. And I couldn't understand it because I was sitting there, and I couldn't understand why they weren't talking to the other guy that was standing right there with them. And I know now that it was the gentleman they were talking about because they were really good friends, those three. And so that's one experience I remember as a child. But what got me into my path, and I really feel that we are given signs, and we're given triggers, and we're given opportunities to guide us in our path and our purpose. And I was no exception. It was 22 years ago.
All right, Rick, what we're going to do is we're going to have a bit of a cliffhanger here because I do have to take my first break. And always great talking to you, my friend. Exo Nation, the one and only Rick Hayes is my guest this hour. If you'd like to find out more about Rick, give him check him out on the website, LifesGift.com. That's www.lifesgift.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Niagara, Ontario, Canada. Tomorrow night, Kevin Randall and I will be doing a 1-hour special on the arrest of Jan Harzan, the head of MUFON.